Welcome to the Femalepreneur Coach podcast. I am your host, Rebecca Barr. I am a transformational mindset and business coach and six-figure award-winning female entrepreneur. Ladies, I'm here to tell you that business and making money doesn't have to be hard when you're in alignment and flow. Inside this podcast, I will be showing you how to transform your mindset to program it for success, how to maximize your money vibrations, and how to redesign your business for ultimate financial and time freedom. You know you are meant to live an epic life. Now it's time to claim it. Right, I'm going to record. So hi ladies, welcome to today's planning session. Just to give you a bit of context, obviously Jade, you're obviously new to my world today. So essentially, my style is usually much more intuitively led. It's what does the collective need? Let's have a conversation, let's mastermind, and then we'll like problem solve and all the things. But based on my recent trip to LA and having conversations with a lot of the women that were there and looking to grow and scale their businesses, a common theme that kept coming up for me was that these women are trying to do business like everybody else. Like there's a lot of burnout, there's a lot of overwhelm, there's a lot of I should be doing this thing, this is what everybody else is doing or what my market is telling me. And obviously I'll explain in a minute, but I'm a manifesting generator. So for me, I'm like, what is everybody doing? Like, this isn't sustainable. And as a coach, I feel really passionate about sustainable business practices. So today's session is actually much more structured than typically my style is, as the women will know. But again, I just feel really passionate that I need to lead you on a bit of a journey so that you can create your own plans that feel really good to you and also keep you in your zone of genius, that work with your human design type and keep you in alignment and flow so that you can actually go away and do the thing rather than just giving you a big long list and saying, right, okay, go execute that. When you're not set up in any way to do that, just doesn't feel good to me, and I don't want to be part of the problem. So essentially, as a business coach, there is a bajillion ways that you can build your business. There is 100 things that you could add to your daily activities, which is a blessing and a curse, because then when you're looking around in the online space, you can feel super overwhelmed and feel like you're missing out, or that somebody maybe knows better more than you do, or round the other way. So I'm just not about that life or hustle. If, as you don't know me very well, obviously, I've been in business for a very long time. I've been around for probably 8 or 9 years. I've experienced, doing business in a very masculine way, where it is literally like, be the hardest working person in a room, and that doesn't feel good to me. But also I've got 5 kids, I've got a soul's mission. I want to do all the things, but I can't physically, even with the best will in the world, work 100 hours a week, otherwise I might as well just stay in corporate, nor do I have any ambitions to do that thing. So the women will attest to the fact that my style is very much about working intentionally, and just with purpose and conviction and with potent energy, so you get the most bang for your buck. I don't actually believe that anybody needs to work super hard really when you're in alignment. And I think part of that, when I was reflecting on it, and some of the conversations that we had, is because I've got access to knowledge that a lot of people don't, which is human design. So Jade, do you know your human design time?
Yes, I'm a manifesting generator, 6-2 role model hermit.
Amazing. Okay, so you're probably like me in the sense that we can do all the things, so and very passionate about all the things. So our kind of soul's growth is to essentially like choose a few of the things or build a team. Like, I'm not about holding yourself back either. So I equally have, my coaching business is just one revenue stream for me. I'm always going to be an entrepreneur at heart. It's like what I was here to do. So if I see an opportunity, like, I'm going to move. I'm not going to be like, I'm a bit busy right now. I'm like, yes, let's go, let's make it happen. So firstly, was there anything that anybody wanted to kind of like bring to the group? All my mastermind ladies, we can actually stay on at the end if you want to, and do like our typical mastermind session, Q&A, hot seat coaching. But I'll just lead with the slides and everything. Look at me, I'm so fancy, I've got slides today. So yeah, I'll lead with that so that we can make sure that you all leave with tangible outcomes, clear action steps, and not everything that I say is going to resonate with you, not everything's going to apply to you. It's just take what you need from the session. I'm all about that. Don't try and be like, well, Rebecca said I gotta do this thing. It's like, actually, you know, again, what I love to do is encourage the women to really create the connection with their own intuition, their own inner voice, and follow the things that feel good. And if it doesn't feel good, that's absolutely fine. Like, not a problem. It wasn't meant for you. So great. I can see all the ladies. I'm so excited. Would someone take a picture, by the way? Because I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm in like full like teacher mode or facilitator mode, if that's okay. And then I will start to share my slides. Lisa, what was your human design type?
Manifesting generator.
Okay, so you're the same. You're the same as me, because
Yeah.
you're like, I've seen an opportunity, it's going to move, get it done.
Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, well, I'll tell you about some of the pitfalls of that in a minute. So what I'm going to do is, firstly, if and you can turn your cameras off if you want to, but I just want to take a moment to kind of slow things down. Obviously, I'm super high energy, but just to kind of essentially like reconnect with what your vision was for this year. Like, we're moving into April, moving into the second quarter, and time goes so quickly. Like, we all know that. So I, started the year with a lot of big plans, and actually some of them have changed, like, inevitably, because I am that manifesting generator. Other things have come up that I didn't even know was on my radar or meant for me. So it's just kind of like, intentionally, if you just want to kind of like take a moment to reconnect with that vision of what you thought you would be achieving this year, what you had hoped to have achieved, done, collaborated, created by the end of the year. Like, hopefully, if you're like me, you've always got some sort of end goal in mind. So for me, I've got a very clear vision of like December 31st of how I want to feel, what I wanted to have created, and I wasn't necessarily attached to the specifics. I'm a non-specific manifestor, so I don't necessarily need to know all the details, but I'm very emotionally led. So it's like, well, I want to feel peaceful, I want to feel successful, I want to feel like I've expanded myself. Like, what is that for you? And then when you obviously think of that, especially the ladies in the mastermind, we did like a whole 2023 session, like referring back to that vision and those plans. Like, how do you feel? Do you feel like things are on track? Do you feel like you've gone all in? Do you think you've been not necessarily stretching yourself, because I'm not about uncomfortable growth, but equally that's where the magic happens. So this is your real moment for reflection, really, to say, have I really done the thing? Have I let other people take me off track? Have I really committed? Or was I just curious about that thing? And actually now I've kind of got a little bit further into it, doesn't light me up in the same way, doesn't feel that interesting anymore. Are there still opportunities where I can be holding myself more to account, stop playing small, all of those things. So just to reconnect with what that vision is. And then what I would love to share with you is just a few slides around your human design type and how I see that playing out in business. Because again, it's one thing to know, like, oh yeah, I'm a manifesting generator, but what does that mean when it comes to your business? Because it might help you with life, but it's got to be that cohesive integration. It's got to be like your life and your business are all as one. I'm all about wholeness, and not trying to wear one hat and one identity over here and showing up as one person and doing something else over here, because that is, for me, is the quickest way to burnout. It's the quickest way to an unsustainable business model, which is essentially, in my opinion, why women have the highest open and close rates in business. It isn't necessarily because we've got commitments and caring responsibilities and we've got issues around our money mindset. It will be that as well, but it's also because we're trying to do business like everyone else. Because our only models of success are typically men that work fucking loads of hours. Like, to me, they're the idiots. They need to be looking at us. But also, we've got cycles, we've got seasons, we've got natural energy types, we've got all of the things that are essentially our superpowers. Sorry, Jade, if you're a bit like, what this has taken a real left turn. I'm super spiritual. Sorry, just so you're like, what? I thought we were just setting up and talking. Oh good. Yeah, I don't hate men, but I'm like, we don't need to do business like them. And I did definitely start out my business journey in that way, where I had a barbershop, so literally couldn't have been any more masculine. And it was like 7 days a week and all the things, even though I had like 3 kids at home, still trying to do all the things. So I'm just going to share my screen then and move on to the slides, because as we know, manifesting generator I'm also a chatty Cathy. I can also talk about all the things and I get really animated and in flow, and I want to be really respectful of your time, because equally the values in the planning session as well. So I'm going to move through them. These are my questions for you afterwards. I'm going to move through them at quite a quick pace, but if you want me to repeat anything, if you want to discuss anything, if you have any questions, let me know, and or pop them in the chat box, and I will make sure that I come back and expand on some of this, because this is obviously my ramblings. It makes sense to me, but it might not to you. Okay, so in this little masterclass session today, we will be reconnecting with that vision for 2023, and by the end of this session, perhaps what you had planned maybe might not, even with this awareness, still feel as aligned as it did before. So I'm always about continually checking in with myself, and never doing anything from a place of, oh well, I said I was going to, so now I need to. I never do anything from a place of ego. It's always from a place of soul, as in, I don't care what people think. So actually, if that no longer feels aligned, whatever I do is going to be counterproductive anyway, if I'm not doing it from a place of how, yes, this needs to happen. You'll also be learning how your human design should be influencing your business activities and plans, and then hopefully we can then, with all of that awareness and all of that information in mind, you can then build a focused action plan for the next 90 days. So again, I'm all about short energy bursts. I don't ever really do much planning beyond 3 months, because there's so many variables and things that can happen. And I'm never attached, like I say, to the specifics of an outcome. It's like, as long as I get there, I don't care how it happens. So we've already reconnected with your vision. Obviously, again, just like thinking, what were your intentions for this year? What did you want to achieve? Do you still feel aligned to all of that? Obviously, what I would say as well, I talk fast and I'm covering a lot of information, is make notes. So if there's anything you want me to circle back on, or anything you feel like, actually, I might need to journal on this more later, what's coming up feels quite surface level, that's absolutely fine. Like, make a note. So human design, then, for anybody who isn't overly familiar, is a combination of ancient energy systems, so such as astrology, the Chinese I Ching, the Kabbalah, Tree of Life, the Hindu chakras, with scientific principles of neuroscience. So obviously that's where my background is. So Jade, I'm a hypnotherapist, I'm an NLP practitioner, I'm an EFT practitioner, timeline therapist. So I literally am all about blending the woo-woo with the neuroscience. Like, I'm the girl that needs to know, but why? Like, but why does that work? But why does that matter? And I can't ever just accept that it just is. So as much as I'm super spiritual, I've always had to have the depth and the, the knowledge as to why behind it. But obviously, when I realized that human design is actually, rooted very much in science, then that really piqued my interest. So so that's essentially where it originated from. I'm going to do super high level, but obviously there will be a more in-depth training in the academy and the mastermind. So it essentially tells you about who you're meant to be at soul level, so that you can create success in the most aligned way to you and your energy type. So even before human design, I already intuitively knew there's certain situations, certain scenarios, certain things that really light me up, and it's like I could work all day long, like all night. But other things that I'm like, oh my God, kill me, this is so painful. And and when I obviously moved into coaching, I could see that with my clients. Like, again, why I really feel as a coach, like, there is no one size fits all. There is no, it's my signature system and that's it. It's always about the woman behind the business. And whenever I have unknowingly at my beginning stages tried to essentially put a square peg in a round hole when it came to my clients, like, it just wouldn't convert, it wouldn't resonate. And I'd be like, but this is what everybody else has done and it's been great. So intuitively I knew there's a whole other layer here other than business strategy and some of the mindset stuff that I was already doing. And that's when I went in search of human side, because I was like, it's going to have to be something else. So your energy type is essentially determined at the moment that you're born, when oh God, my spelling as well, sorry, subatomic particles called neutrinos essentially created a vibrational imprint on your soul, and at which point then a blueprint was formed, and that will be dependent on like where the planets are in alignment in the sky. So it is essentially personal to you. Even twins won't necessarily have, except they might have similar energy types, even if they're both manifesting generators, there's still going to be, in addition to that, additional layers like personality traits, soul's contracts, nurture versus nature. Like, there's still other things that are going to be influencing us. But what it does is enables us just to get a broad sense of, it's like doing an occupational personality test essentially, but getting a better understanding of ourselves that you can then use as a basis to really go deeper into actually. And again, one of the things that I love to support my clients in is creating that connection with their own self, so that when they understand, yes, this may be how my energy types works and how I can essentially turn up as my truest self. However, I'll still have little quirks and nuances that are personal to me because of my journey, even past life journey, you know, all of those things. So, but what you can do is create your own connection with yourself so that you can intuitively lean into that. You've got all the tools to know about when you are holding yourself back, when you're operating from a place of fear, when it's actually, no, it's just not meant for me, and when you are lit up and it's a hell yes. So obviously there's 5 different types, sorry: manifesting generators, projectors, manifestors, and reflectors. So you'll notice that a lot of us are manifesting generators in this arena. I don't think that it's any coincidence that a lot of entrepreneurial people are manifesting generators, particularly serial entrepreneurs and really successful entrepreneurs. I think that there's obviously a very clear link between our ability to be multi-passionate and also quick action takers, and that's what ultimately leads to business success. But then we also have these other energy types that are really successful business owners, but perhaps will do business in different ways. Like, they bring different strengths to the table. Obviously, as we've got reflectors that are less than 1%, I didn't know anybody that was attending the call that would be a reflector, so I haven't really gone into that detail. So essentially, let's get into it. So have we got any generators on the call? Are you a generator, Charisse? Did I make that up?
No, I'm the same as you.
Okay, perfect. Justine, are you a projector?
No, I'm a generator, but I wasn't quite sure if I've gone into it enough to get more. I need to go back and do the human design thing again, but I'm definitely a generator.
Amazing. Okay, that's really great then. So this will be helpful to you. So you are essentially the life force of the collective. So obviously, again, super spiritual. I believe that we are all connected. There's no separation between any of us. No one's no better. No one got better cards. We are all inherently connected at a soul level, so, and equally affected by each other. So that's again why I feel super passionate about women doing the deep dive mindset work. As Charisse, like, you're all super aligned in that sense, because even, you know, when one woman does the work, shows up as her best self, you know, becomes that better version of herself, the ripple effect of that through the collective is felt. I truly believe that, you know, even, and a lot of the women that have worked with me, you've explained about how just you doing the work on your own personal development and mindset has had a ripple effect for the family around you, the people that you speak to every day. Like, everything's energy. So you are essentially, it's so interesting to me because, side note, my ex was a generator, and he was one of those people that I was like, I mean, this isn't you, Justin, but he was essentially narcissistic. And I was like, how does he just like magnetize all of these incredible opportunities? Like, there's, like anything, there's a shadow side and a light side to anything that you have. But he had the most like magnetic personality. It's like narcissistic, like 101, like, they absolutely, not you, Justin, but it's understanding that that is your superpower. You are magnetic, you are designed, but when you're in alignment. So when you find what truly lights you up and you take action from that place, not only do you feel better, but you also raise the energy from everybody else around you. You are also super magnetic to opportunities and ideas and people. Your battery is recharged by doing what you love. So whenever you are out of alignment, that's when, you know, things feel hard, things feel draining, you get burnt out, because you're not able to regenerate your battery from the work that you're doing. It's like, actually, it becomes a detractor to you and everybody else feels it. So that would be the thing with my ex. Like, he was a particularly draining person if he was doing something that he didn't want to do. It's like, bloody hell, we all knew about it. And it's not a bad thing. It's not intentional, but it just, you know, because you are that life force, When you are in flow, everybody's having a good time. Everybody wants to be around you. It's about following the inspired action. It's meant to be fun. So if there's elements of your business right now that isn't feeling fun, then there's always a workaround. That's something for you to add to your action plan. So there'll be elements of things that you have to do, obviously, but I'm always about building a team, automating, being strategic with where your energy goes, your personal energy goes. But essentially, you are here to master your craft and become the go-to expert. You are hard workers, but you can fall into that trap of doing for the sake of doing, and expectation, and conforming to the responsibility that other people place on you. So I would be super mindful that, again, when you are doing you, when you're in element, when you're lighting yourself up, like, that's when everybody really benefits. So a lot of the time, you know, particularly as a mum, we feel like we're, you know, oh, but my kids love it that I do all the things, but actually we're being a bit of a martyr there. And actually what they want is like silly fun mum who's, you know, they don't care if their pants are folded and all of those sorts of things. So it's being mindful of, where am I actually doing too much, from a place of expectation, from a place of conditioning, and overly being responsible, versus actually, if I just live my best life, everybody wins. You essentially, because of that magnetic aura and personality, you make great leaders. So what I would say for you is, it's all about focus and intention, because you can magnetize opportunities, ideas and people towards you when you really are like, yes, this is what I want to do. Like, the universe is going to shift accordingly. So it's about you being really true to yourself and having those hard conversations and saying, actually, I want to do this thing. So if I want to do that, like, that's now my intention. Things will start to just suddenly fall into place when you decide. So that's a bit of mindset stuff as well, like the power of the decision. So you are essentially here to respond to the stimulus that's around you, the universe around you. So you are intuitively responding, and will do really well if you intuitively start to respond to client feedback, industry trends, opportunities that come your way. It's like, you need to wait for things to kind of, you know, set that intention, like, this is what I'm doing, then things will start to fall into place and then you move. So what would be really good for you is obviously to make sure that you are selling in your stories, selling in your lives, doing creating intentional polls where you're essentially calling out your clients and asking them to DM you. So you would feel really uncomfortable probably with cold hard sales, when you're literally like popping into DMs and like, hi. It's instead creating an environment where it is. So this is where you might want to map out your customer journey. Like, is it easy for people to find me and work with me? Am I making it intentionally hard? Is it a bit of cloak and daggery where they've got to submit forms and all these things? Actually, just put your prices out there and make it easy for people to work with you. This is also about, again, standing in your power, creating authentic content from your heart. Not doing generic rinse and repeat, because you really be doing yourself a disservice. Documenting your journey, so blogs, behind the scenes, and understanding that you are magnetic, the good, the bad, the ugly, it's coming from you. So again, perhaps like an alignment, which is a really great time to do. So I wanted to give you that awareness before you then go into the 90-day planning. So the next type is manifesting generators. So obviously it will be no surprise that this is me. So we are essentially multi-passionate, get shizzle done kind of women. We move quickly, we take inspired action. We are essentially the superhumans of the collective. So the amount of times that I got told in LA, I don't know how you do it. And I'm like, I just do. Like literally, I shared a room with two other women. They're like, you're like a Jack Russell. Like, you literally wake up with so much fucking energy. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm excited to be here. Like, I got no school runs. It's not raining. Like, I'm just grateful. And I'm really in the energy and inspired by everybody else. They were like, I don't get it. I need to check what their human design types were. But literally, like, people were always saying, like, and you've got 5 kids, and you're on the PTA, and you've got multiple businesses, like, and you're working with clients, like, how do you do it all? And I'm like, I just do, because that's essentially what I'm here to do. And that's me very much. Like, I had a business at one point that was 7 days a week, like 8 in the morning till 8 at night. Fucking hated it. I felt so trapped by my business. I was like, I might as well just work in corporate. And even in my corporate jobs, I was field based, because I couldn't physically be tied to a desk all day. It was like torture. Obviously, I've realized I've probably got ADHD, so there's an element of that, which I think is also quite typical and can be a misdiagnosis. That I'm a manifesting generator Gemini with ADHD. So inevitably, I'm not here for a life of ordinary. Like that would literally make me just want to go to sleep. I crave freedom. I create flexibility. I create like expansive opportunities. I am always living within my edges, and equally I crave those opportunities where it's like, oh my god, this is terrifying, but fuck it, let's do it anyway. And actually, so when I started out in business, just a side note, because obviously I appreciate that some of you are, I was actually made to feel like maybe there was something wrong with me, because like you've got no commitment, like you're always changing your focus, you're always doing something else, and it's hard to get traction behind one thing. So it's like you're the jack of all trades, master of none. And I used to take that on board, like maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I'm not consistent enough, maybe I'm not this. But I've realized that no, that is my assignment. I'm here to like basically come in, fuck shit up, do the things, and pull out. That's absolutely fine. Like we are the queens of collapsing time, because equally the commitment level that I have is next level. So people always say like, I don't know how you know all this shit, and I'm like, I do courses for fun because I'm a lifelong learner, and because equally it's almost like an obsessive personality, but it's like I can get in, learn something really quickly because I fully immerse myself in that experience. So even like human design, I'm obsessed with it, you know, like it's literally like a rabbit hole, but that's my personality. That means that we master it very quickly, and other people are like, what? Like, I don't understand, like you just get it. And I'm like, yeah, I do. So we're the queens of collapsing time, but again, our energy dissipates. So it's one thing I did first of all when I started in my coaching business, like I had containers that were too long. I had group programs that I was intending to run on a rinse and repeat, and that just didn't feel good. Like I'd do it once and I'd be like, I don't want to do it again. Like I don't want to talk about the same thing over and over again. Like I'm not inspired the second time round. So again, thought like, oh, maybe I'm never going to make it as a coach because this is what other women are doing to scale. And that actually really doesn't feel that exciting to me. And I tried to do it that way. And inevitably, the second, third, fourth launch would never be as successful because my heart wasn't in it. My energy wasn't in it. So instead, I've now created more flexible containers. This is why I have a mastermind, because there's no expectation for me to, like, I can be very intuitively led by what I want to teach. I get my energy from you guys. I bounce off of your energy. Oh, hang on a sec. Sorry, my plug is running out. My laptop's running out before I am. There we go. Sorry. Because like no one day is the same, you know, like whenever we come on these calls, it could be literally anything that you're talking to me about. That's exciting. I love that. I really thrive off your energy and creative possibilities and thinking. So I love to be put in those situations where I am masterminding. And again, intuitively in LA, a lot of the women came to me because I don't think like everybody else, and they would come separately and say, babe, can we just like have a coffee? Can we have a moment? I really need some of your time. I'd love your eyes on my business because you always bring such innovative ideas. And it's like, because I just don't want to be like everybody else. So so that is our superpower, essentially. It's not trying to be like everybody else. It's not trying to fit into a box, having too much structure, to like really tight schedules that have no flexibility. It's understanding and giving ourselves grace that something might be in our energy and really light us up for a season or for a period of time, but then it doesn't anymore, and that's okay. Like, give yourself permission to follow those nudges, and then when the energy dissipates, that's okay, like genuinely. So sorry, Jade, I didn't know if you heard, but I was just saying, like, when it comes to my containers, I do things like my academy is something that is continually going to be evolving. It's never done. So i.e. the energy is never going to dissipate from me. There's always more I can add. There's always more women I can bring in. There's always more dynamics, more angles. So that feels it still like there's longevity in that for me. And then also the mastermind, I was saying one thing that we really do as generators is our energy regenerates from other people. So if we are surrounded by good, high vibe, like positive people, we vibe off their energy and it sparks something in us. So there's actually different parts of our brain that will be activated when we're in the energy of incredible people that really inspire us. That's why, and that's where I've created the mastermind for that reason, because, and it might be something that you want to consider, but because again, I'm not here showing up every week teaching like the same old, like every week is different because the women are different, their challenges are different, their businesses are different, their industries are different. That keeps my energy in the game. So we're really lit up by new projects. We love to redefine what's realistic. We love to collapse time. We love to do what other people can't. As long as we stay in alignment and we give ourselves permission to, you know, and some of that might be failing, and that's okay. We keep it moving and we don't make it a thing. We don't let it, you know, affect our souls. The only thing though with that is sometimes we can go too fast and make mistakes. So that then kind of, you know, mean we have a bit of a setback. So what I would say is something that I've cultivated is, because I can be impulsive, and it's what I teach with money mindset as well. It's about creating your own and understanding what that is for you, but your own buffers, your own pattern interrupts, so that you can check that what you're doing really is in alignment and integrity with you, and it's not just a knee-jerk reaction. It's like, actually, yeah, no, this feels good. And sometimes we need confirmation from others. So maybe you know, you can invite guidance from the universe, and say, look, this is what I'm thinking, feels good right now. Can you maybe send me some sort of, you know, some sort of guidance or invitation, so that I can then move forward with confidence? Because once it's clicked, it's like, let's go. So just some things to consider with business. Obviously, be mindful of your container durations, be mindful of rinse and repeat launches, be mindful of boxing yourself in with too much structure and commitment. Be really aware of your energy. I have worked with clients that literally drained the fucking life out of me, and that was so detrimental to my health, because we are also like sponges. And again, you know, so really regulate yourself on that, because if you can stay in flow, you are literally next level. You are like waiting to be unleashed. But give yourself permission to move quickly, take inspired action. Don't plan too far ahead. It's why I never do more than 90 days. You can talk about all the things and you find it hard to niche. So guess what? I don't niche. I just, because again, I know all women are different. So don't put pressure on yourself to do that, but perhaps chunk it up. So it's like, you know, I want to work with women who want this outcome. You know, that could come in many different varieties. But, you know, don't try and get it so it's too niche. Like, try and look at the bigger picture, but create some commonalities between your ideal client. You obviously respond to others, so you can get really inspired by other people. So what I would say is, you know, again, look for those opportunities to be around other inspiring people. Take inspiration and then make it your own. Don't copy. Go with your gut, really cultivate that relationship, and get radical self-awareness on this, so that you know whether something is, again, coming from a place of fear, whether it's coming from a place of ego, because we have that that sacral chakra where it, like, we feel it in our body before we logically catch up with it. Embody your passion, be magnetic. This is the greatest thing, and I talk about it to the women all the time. Energy and mindset will absolutely take you so much further than strategy and structure. That's really the same for all of us. Embodying that next level self is ultimately what people are buying. They can feel your energy. And again, in LA, when I looked across the room, there was no one there that was more qualified, that it was better, more experienced. But what you could clearly see, like literally, and I wonder if I've got an element of projector tendencies, but I could see without a doubt the women that had it and didn't. The women that really believed in what they were selling and what they were doing and really embodying that next self, and the women that didn't, that were still very fearful, very insecure, very needing validation from everyone around them. And it was the difference in earnings as well. All the 8-figure earners, they own it. Like, they don't care. They're not apologizing. They're not trying to be like anybody else. They just are, and it's magnetic. So that is your area of growth, like embodying that next level self. So really great sales tactics for us are being in our stories, showing up, like the behind the scenes, just being authentic, full of energy. Like, people fucking love it. They love to watch you as well. Being in your lives, engaging video content, workshops, in-person events. Like, that's why I did my in-person event in January, bloody loved it. And share your successes to build authority, to really obviously make sure that you're also building credibility. But those are your jam, like, own it. So manifestors, because I think we've got some in the group, I'll just quickly go through this as well. So you are essentially the innovators innovators of the collective. You have a strong internal guide and you do things your own way. Like, you can't do what everybody else does. That would be really painful to you. You won't be influenced by others. You are the change makers, the trailblazers. You are the ones that start the movements, and you're here to initiate change. That is like your superpower and your contribution to the collective. You are the visionary leaders. I imagine people like Steve Jobs, they're probably manifestors as well. You are, oh baby, oh. You are great at starting and creating new projects, but you don't necessarily need to execute them. So you might notice that you're leaning, if you're like a manifesting generator, or you might notice some tendencies from some of the other human design types. That's absolutely fine. But essentially, you know, again, like, energy dissipates. So it's like, I've got all the ideas, I want to do all the things. These are the serial entrepreneurs as well. But your opportunity for growth is to build a team so that you can actually execute, because you don't want to be doing all the things. You have very bold opinions and views, and you repel what you are not in alignment. So you're probably a person that offends people, because it just is like, you can't be anything that you're not. And you've got no poker face. So my partner would say that all the time. Like, literally, you've got such a resting bitch face. Like, if you don't like somebody, it's so obvious. And I'm like, yeah, because I just can't like be in somebody's energy and be fake. That's not who I am. So I probably very much lean towards the manifester element, because that's essentially who they are. Like, they're the leaders, the zero fucks, like, just do it their own way. But they are the ones that really like move the collective forwards. They obviously need to rest, because they don't have the generator element that we do, because their battery doesn't recharge from being in the energy of others from their work when they're really lit up. They need to rest between their projects. They typically like to work on their own, and I think that's typically because people don't get them. A lot of the time they don't understand, they don't have the same vision, and they don't suffer fools gladly, whatever the word is. So you are quick to, you initiate. So you proactive sales strategies would be really good. So essentially, you know, not necessarily cold DMs, but you'd be quite happy walking across the room and saying, hi, this is who I am. How are you? How can I help you? A lot of energy types would literally die. Your superpower is creating original content and containers. So again, when I say containers, it's not going for the generic mastermind, group coaching, self-studies, membership. It's like, actually, you'll create something that's either a hybrid or something that's really unique and original. So like 30-day Voxer access, or I've seen some coaches now doing, like, essentially you're paying for access to a Slack channel. Like, they're probably manifestors, because it's a really unique and original way of serving their clients that nobody else was doing. So they've created those opportunities. Your growth is obviously starting new projects, but being supported by a team, so you don't end up like missing opportunities. They typically work in cycles, so they'll have like 4 phases, like the moon, like our periods, like our you know, like all the things is essentially in 4 cycles. So they will have like the thing where they've got the inspired action, they go away, do the action, then they've got to like just extract themselves from the action, and then it's like giving themselves rest to then move on to the next project. They were never built for the 9 to 5. They move fast, make quick decisions. They are very sure in their decisions. So bold branding and activating marketing, like activate your audience, be sassy, be divisive. Like, they're happy to own that. They've got a powerful voice, and they are the table. So that is your superpower. If you're a manifestor, like, own it. Just because we have got a couple of projectors, I'm going to quickly run through this, but I'm not even going to touch on the reflectors. So projectors are essentially like the good, like they call them like the wise owls. So they are essentially really good at having that strategic overview. They see all the moving parts, where that can be quite overwhelming to some. So I was a launch strategist at one point, and that is like running an election campaign. Like, there are so many moving parts, but for me it was easy. Like, they tend to be your event planners, like the people that see the whole picture. They love systems and order. They're here to guide the other energy types as well, because they are very wise, very considered with their energy. They intuitively always know the right questions to ask others. That makes them excellent coaches, advisors, networkers, like those real kind of authority figures. They can see everything that goes on. They can see through people. They know when you're not quite yourself, like they're the friends that you want essentially, but only if they're invited. So if they try and give somebody advice or try and give them help and that person rejects it, like that genuinely like rejects their soul. So they have to wait to be invited. That's kind of their opportunity for growth. Their aura is magnetic, but to invitations, so they're probably also asked a lot for others for advice. They're seen as that authority. So I think Ella, who's our property coach, is a projector. So she just like, I don't know why people just always ask me questions, and it's like because they see you as that authority, and because so her growth is obviously owning that success and that authority and recognizing herself as the authority and being happy to receive that title. They again aren't designed to work hard. It's all about quality versus quantity, intention and depth. So, you know, they will get into a project and really go all in, but they can't sustain that. Like they're not here to just do the 9 to 5. They don't generate any energy from others or their work. So they really do need that time to reflect and rest and have play and fun and separate themselves from their work, or they will get burnt out. They tend to work in a niche and kind of have that expert status and really know all the things about that subject. They're all about the depth. They go deep in their work. They need time for rest and plans to recharge and rest and play to recharge. Sorry. They are designed to work with others because they can be quite a nice, like nurturing, leading, guiding energy. Course creation is obviously ideal. Looking for opportunities to collab as a guest expert is also really good. Owning your authority and wait to be invited. Attract sales by nurturing your audience to sales. You're magnetic to the right people. Evergreen offers are obviously really going to serve them. Live launches will probably be that idea of hell. They are that authority and they need to make sure that their content is really demonstrating that, demonstrating their mastery, and it's got clear call to actions, and essentially be mindful of not creating too much work for themselves because they will get burnt out very quickly. So I'm just going to stop the share there. But does anybody want to kind of share any observations there where it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense? Or actually, maybe it doesn't. Let me know.
I've generated definitely for me, and I think that's where I'm stuck, is that I'm not aligned. So what I'm doing is not giving me that energy and that light. And you know, you're absolutely right. When I'm in it and absolutely love it, then it does light me up. But that's where I'm struggling in terms of what is that does that's not doing it right now. So yeah, but definitely, and as you say, falling into the trap of doing what everybody else thinks I should be doing, which isn't giving me that energy.
Yeah, and it's really like a damaging way to work long term. So I would say, I mean, the thing is, like, we've all got bills to pay, we've all got stuff that we've invested in. So, you know, there's a certain element of like, you can't just like get ready your business and start something else tomorrow. That's not practical because, again, you can't operate from a place of fear. But perhaps it's now pushing it to the forefront that even though I don't know right now, I need to make that a priority over the next 90 days to figure out what that is for me, but also strengthen that connection to your inner voice, because I inevitably know already. Have you done the Dream Life Workbook where it's kind of taking you through?
Yeah, and I've had some really interesting feedback, which I won't go into now, but would like to talk through because some interesting things have come up.
Amazing. So it's like when that comes up, that clarity, it's leaning into it more, and it's like, okay, actually, let me explore this possibility, because I would love that for you this year, that it's like, actually, at some point there will be a shift and I can bring forward whatever it is, this new thing, and phase out the old thing so that you can truly be like just in your flow state at all times, because that for me is like my highest purpose, is to give you that. So I'm so excited to support you on that in this year. So don't give any pressure though to it where it's like, I need to figure it out tomorrow. Just perhaps put some intentional time in your 90-day plan so that you can start to explore it more, because when it comes, like, you'll just move. You won't be able to not, because it will be so exciting. You'll be like, I just got to do the thing. Amazing. So is there anything else that anybody wants to share before I go into like the planning element?
There was most of the things that came up for me with the manifesting generator. I could definitely link with, you know. There were two things though that that I don't, and I wish I could. It's something you always talk about, collapsing time. I always feel like I expand into my time, and like, you know, if I've got an hour, it'll take me an hour. Maybe I should like maybe shorten the times that I give myself for things. I'm not sure, but and
yeah, I would say that, because time's relative. Do you remember we did the 12 weeks into like 12 months in 12 weeks? I feel like you were around for that. Where it's like time is relative. We are the kind of people that work better under pressure, because then it's like, I've got this clear deadline. If you give me all the time, like my mum used to say, and I said this to my friend the other day, she was like, that is so offensive, but I was like, my mum used to say, you're like a fart in the wind, like you're literally just like all over the place, like you just kind of like potter about, like you do this, you do that. And I'm like, yeah, because unless I've got like this hard deadline, I can also be a bit too abstract. So but equally, if you challenge yourself to that, it's like you can play it with a game where you get to have fun. It's like, actually, can I do this in 20 minutes? Can I do this in like, so that you start to intentionally build out that space, because we're also good at filling our time. And that was something that was a game changer when I intentionally started to build in time of nothing. Like, it's so unnatural to me, but it really gave me so many more insights, and really helped just so many other elements. So I would say that try and get yourself, you know, collapse time in that way. Are you okay, Jade? Is there anything that you want to share?
No, that's great. Sorry, I keep having to leave. My youngest is with me today, and he's constantly asking for snacks.
That's okay. Oh God, tell me about it. Honestly, like, it's just crazy. That is essentially all I'm here to do at this point. The kids are on half term for the next 2 weeks. I'm dreading it. I'm gonna have to do a bigger food shop. So what I was going to say, and if you need to go at any point, absolutely fine, because I've got some questions that I want to run you through, and like I say, some are going to require some deeper thought, some are going to be like, yeah, that's easy, like write that down. So I'm going to stream this into the free Facebook group, Jade. So if you obviously I'll send you the link to join, so if you do have to go, absolutely fine. I know what it's like with kids. I literally was trying to watch something yesterday, and Aviana decided to tip a whole bowl of cereal into my lap, and I was like, I could sit here and pretend that this isn't freezing cold and smells like sick, but I think I'm gonna have to go, and it just is what it is. Like, what can you do? So honestly, I'll give you the link to the group in case you need to come back to it later. But amazing. So if you are ready, I will begin. So essentially what I'm going to do is take you through a series of questions where you can really start to put together a bit of a plan for yourself and a focus for the next 90 days. So obviously we've talked about the vision for 2023. Like, what is that? What does that look like? Does it still feel good, particularly when you now consider your human design type? Does it all feel in an integrity with that? Does it make sense given what you've got? Or as we were just saying with Justin, do you need to adjust it a little bit? Do you need to create some more intentional time to pursue other things? So with the vision though that you originally had, if it does still feel aligned, like, what would you say is your progress towards it right now? As we're approaching the 4th month of the year, do you feel like you're on track? Do you feel like you've exceeded your expectations? Probably some of us manifesting generators have collapsed time, because again, once we've locked in what it is that we want, like, we just get it done. Like, literally, I was doing a course. I'm doing like 3 courses. I'm reading 3 different books. Like, I'm doing all the things. I'm in 2 different masterminds. I work with 2 different coaches. Like, I'm just that person. And even now I'm lining up my next mastermind for June, because I'm like, yeah, keep it moving, like, on to the next energy. So for me, I'm quite confident that, yeah, I would say I'm probably like a 7, maybe a 7 out of 10 for where I wanted to be, because I've had to put in a lot of extra energy right now, but I can see how that's going to continue to pay me off. So I'm quite confident with the progress that I'm making, but I still think there's some tweaks. So where would you rate yourself in terms of your progress towards your vision? What areas do you feel like you really have made progress and you're like, yes, bitch, we've done this, I'm proud of me, like, we've done this thing, that feels really good, like, I'm getting some traction in that, getting some clarity, like, starting to see some results, that feels good? And equally, where have you not made any progress? So perhaps you've set some goals or intentions, or have identified some opportunities, but actually, like, nothing's really happened in that area. Either it's been dropped for something else, because this is again all about boundaries and intention and energy and focus. so this exercise is really to just give you an opportunity to check in with all of these things and be like, actually, do you know what? I said I wanted that. Have I not done it because I don't know what I'm doing? In which case, do I need more help? Have I not done it because I'm scared? In which case it's mindset, and we can talk about that. There's loads of resources on that. Or is it because actually every other mofo is taking me off track and everybody else is sucking my time and energy and I'm not getting to do the thing? Or have I been unrealistic with what actually, because again, as women, we love to think we're Whitney Houston and we're every woman, and we can just continually keep adding things to our plate. So that's the purpose of that question, is to just take a moment and say, actually, if I haven't made progress, why haven't I made progress? And is it one of those 4 things that have kept me stuck? So is it because I don't know? Is it because I'm scared and I'm kind of hesitating a little? Is it because I maybe don't really even want it? Like, actually, now I'm thinking about it, maybe it wasn't that good. Is it because other people are taking me off track? Did I not create capacity to actually do the thing? Was I really unrealistic and overly ambitious with what it is that I could do? So make a note on which, so sorry, that was 5 things there, but if any of that feels like it's resonating with you, so you can have that awareness, we can write it down, we can look at it, and then make a plan going forwards. So has anything particular got in your way? So for me, one of the things at the beginning of the year that I identified, because obviously whenever we are intending to do something, if we can already, you know, envisage and anticipate any obstacles to us, we can essentially, like, what's the word? Forearms is forewarned. So like we can essentially get into creative solutions mode. So I'm a solutions-based hypnotherapist. So I'm all about, there is a way, but maybe something needs to change, and that's how I can get it done. So what has gotten in your way? So for me, at the beginning of the year, last year, I was still like, my childcare was minimal. It was like literally I had a woman that was coming to the house. It was like, you know, a few hours here, a few hours there. But I recognized right at the beginning of the year, if I really want to go all out, like it was a hard choice, but it's like I've got to get the baby out of the house, you know, like even having her in the house with her and the bloody dog, like trying to record anything is a nightmare. And also for me, energetically, it was a pull all the time. So now instead, I mean, she only goes like 2 days a week, but that means that is my 2 days of let's go, like let's go energy. Like I literally have got my whole day planned down to like 20-minute slots. Like I am getting the most amount of bang for my buck with that time that she's not here, because I didn't really want to do it, but I knew I had to. And that was me overcoming the challenge of what was going to potentially get in my way. So I found a creative workaround. And now actually I think she prefers the women to me, because she comes out and cries and I'm like, what? Like I've been pining over you all day. She's like, eh. So yeah, so with that hindsight, what will you do differently now then in over the next 90 days to make better progress in the next quarter? So if you are slightly off track, how do we now get you back on track? Because we know if we always do what we always did, we're always going to get what we always got. So in order to get a different level of outcome, we need to take different action. So what can you now identify as something that actually I need to do that differently in the next quarter, or I'm just going to get the same result? I don't know if it is my backstory, obviously with my mum passing so suddenly, but genuinely I have the biggest fear of wasting time. Like that is my thing. And it's probably like my therapist was like, oh, it's because death is essentially, like, not to be too morbid, but it's essentially like you've got no control over it. And I obviously have controlling tendencies because of childhood trauma, but genuinely, if I feel like I've wasted time, that affects me at a soul level. Like that really bothers me. I would rather waste money than time, like 100%. I will put money after, like, invest in something if it's going to save me money all day long, because my time is my greatest asset. So yeah, what would you do differently now that means that we're not then having the same conversation in 3 months time where it's like, yeah, I know I said I was going to do the thing, but I haven't done the thing. It's like, this is your chance to recalibrate and really take charge of the rest of the year. And also, girls, if we do it now, it means you're going to be in a better place in the summer. So that also feels really good to me. Like I'm really being hard on myself and intentional, not hard on myself, but holding myself accountable, because I want to have that summer off with the kids. So I can't let weeks, days drift by and not feel like I'm moving forwards. So the next question I'd love for you to reflect on is, what help do you need in order to achieve your vision? And who can you ask for help? Because again, if what came up for you is like, actually, I don't really know what it is I need to do, then okay, can't even remember what song it is, but if you don't know, you better get to know. from my 90s days. God, you're probably all like not old enough for that, but yeah, so you know, all about, as women, again, we hate to ask for help, but actually what help do we need? So maybe it's help at home, so, or maybe it's help from me as a mentor. Like, it's for you guys to manage me as much as for me to kind of intuitively know what I think you need. If you need something from me, like, ladies, we've all paid a lot of money, like, get your money's worth, feel supported. And it's, I hold this up as a question specifically because, like I say, as women, we really struggle with receiving support. We see it as a sign of weakness. We pride ourselves on how much we can multitask and do all the things and figure stuff out. That's very admirable. It's great to have that as, you know, that resourceful quality, but equally don't make it harder on yourself. If there's people out there or things that can help you to collapse time, to be more intentional with your energy and actually make the process fun, because you're not sitting there feeling stupid or like I'm missing something. What help is it that you need in order to do that? The next thing then is, what steps do you need to take in the next 3 months in order to make more progress towards your vision? So you could have like maybe 3 key steps, because obviously you're not going to have a chance to write everything down. I would obviously invite you to brainstorm on it and then plan it into your diary. So obviously for me, I'm writing my book this year. So the steps that I need to take over the next 3 months is to be consistent in writing, but also then I still need to find a UK based editor. I've got an American contact, but I think it would be better to have somebody here. So there's like very actionable steps that I need to take. There's not many, because essentially the majority one is write the book. Like, it is what it is. So but equally I could reverse engineer that and break it down even further so that it isn't this big abstract goal, write the book. Okay, well, that's a bit ambiguous. How am I doing it? When am I doing it? So, and equally, when we have these open-ended big goals with no specificity and no detail behind it, it never gets done. If I break it down to 5 things, it's so much, it's like you're not giving yourself an out. Like, if it's just 5 things, do the damn things. Like, do the one, do the next one, do the next one, then the next one. Like, when we've got these big goals, it's like, yeah, I need to come back to that. I need to think about that. I need to get some time for that. Actually, if you can take one inspired action today. So for me, for example, it could be decide on the titles of my chapter. Like, that's really only going to take like half an hour. I could do that. There's no excuses. You know, when I'm like, oh, I've got to write the book, that's so open-ended, that gives me an hour all the bloody time, because it's like, well, I'm obviously gonna need so much time for that. Actually, do you need that much time to do those steps? Or maybe it's consistent action that you need to do. I'm all about the compound effect. So have a little brainstorm on that. But if a few things jump out to you intuitively where it's like, yeah, I need to do X, Y, Z, get that down. When we take it out of our head and put it onto paper, it activates different parts of our brain. We're actually more committed to actually doing the thing. This is why if you want to start a new gym routine or create a new habit, rather than just thinking, I need to remember every day to do it, it's actually, how do I lessen that resistance and make it easier? Everything I do, you'll notice I'm such a basic bitch. It's all about how do I make it easy? Because if it's not easy, my brain is going to have resistance to it. So I'm trying to make things as work for me as much as possible. So if it's, so set alarms on your phone. If you're trying to implement a new habit, attach it to a habit that you already have. So if it's like, I want to drink more water, go get a thing like a cup that is like the, you know, all of your, there we go, like Charisse has demonstrated. That's what I did. And I was like, as long as I make sure I fill that up every morning, inevitably I'm going to be drinking more water. So it's all of those little things. Just make it easy. How do I make it easy for me to actually execute and implement on the things that I want to do? Are there any key metrics attached to your goal so that you can actually physically track your progress, but also not leave yourself anywhere to hide and keep yourself accountable to it? So for me, obviously I've got sales targets or client serve targets that I like to, I've got this bigger number, which for me feels like a soul goal, because it's like, if I help this many women this year, that's going to feel really amazing. And I track it. So last year I was, you know, could confidently say I've served 112 women this year in some way, even, and that doesn't obviously account for content, but you know, that felt really good. So maybe there's actual metrics attached to your goal. So if it is a book, in my book writing club, one of the women she actually really responds to targets. So she's literally broken down, like, I need to write 200 words a day. That gives her a nice satisfying little tick, which you know, I love a highlighter and a tick box. So maybe that's for you, in which case you know, make yourself accountable to that. Keep your eyes on the prize. Every week when you're planning out your week, it's that goal in mind. Your brain loves specificity. But equally taking that into account, like what does good, better and best look like? So with goals, obviously, you'll know when we do our goal setting session, I love to have a few stretch goals. Don't ever want to kind of settle for, especially if you're a manifesting generator, because we're all about unrealistic expectations. So I'm always like, yes, this would be good, this would be better, this would be fucking amazing, because typically we find it much easier to get behind the big audacious goals because it's exciting, and because if we do that thing, it's going to mean something really significant. If it's like, oh, just on board a few clients this month and you're essentially going to be the same, that's not inspiring. That's not getting me out of bed in the morning. Like, I need a bit of excitement. I need a bit of a challenge. So what do your good, better and best goals look like attached to those activities? What's the easiest and most aligned way for you to achieve that goal, now that we've taken into consideration your human design type? How can we really keep you in your zone of genius and in line with your natural energy type? Like, how do we make this as easy as possible? Because again, as women, we love to validate ourselves with busy work. We love to compensate for feelings of unworthiness by overcomplicating processes. We sometimes assume that things need to be harder or everybody would be doing it than it needs to be. Actually, not the reality at all. It's just most people can't be bothered in the first place. So what's the easiest way, like most joyful way? So again, when you're considering your containers, one of the things that for me felt really exciting, didn't necessarily make sense, but right out the gate at the beginning of January, did an in-person event in London, because that felt fun and exciting. Still hit my revenue goals, but rather than, you know, launching another program, it was like, actually, I'm gonna do this thing over here, and I leveraged the shizzle out of that opportunity, which meant that I still made just as much money, equally, without having to sell in the room, because that didn't feel good to me. But I used the social proof and the expert status and the referrals and the connections and the increased visibility to get me my same outcome, but without doing it in a way that didn't feel good to me. So this is your opportunity to think really creatively as well. How are you going to keep yourself accountable to that goal? So are you going to measure it? Are you going to track it? Are you going to, obviously in the mastermind, we've got, you know, you can have an accountability buddy, you can publicly declare the intention, but also think bigger than that. So for me, obviously with my book writing club, I've said for the last 2 years, I'm going to write a book. And I was like, girl, if you say it again, I'm going to punch my own self in the face, because I'm sick of hearing it. So how do we actually make it happen this year? Well, for me, it was all about owning it and making public declarations. And then I built a book club that I had. So now I've got to do it. Like, it's got to be done. There are physically people watching me and looking for me to be that leader. There are women in there that are doing it every day. So that's then inspiring and motivating me. It's keeping me accountable. And I also spoke it into existence. So I embodied it like it's already done. You know, in LA, everybody was like, why are you here? And I'm like, I'm writing my book. They're like, oh, amazing. Like, can't wait. I've probably got some pre-sales. Because I didn't give myself an out. I knew that if I don't do it now, if not now, then when? And equally, there's only so much energy in that decision. So everybody knows I talk about like Elizabeth Gilbert, big magic. If something comes to you as an inspired download, it's with the purpose and intention of being manifested, or i.e. made real. If you then don't do it, it's going to go on to somebody else. And that for me just could not happen. So that's how I've kept myself accountable to the goal. I've done a whole big thing around it, but it could just be as simple as getting a planner on your desk and ticking it off every day, or telling your most judgmental friend that this is happening, because then you don't want to give them the satisfaction of seeing you fail. How will you know when you've achieved the goal? So as we said earlier with our vision it's about, because sometimes things are a bit abstract, where it's a feeling, I want to feel successful, I want to feel accomplished, I want to feel like I have arrived, like I have stepped into that. Again, can be like vague goals. So it's like, actually, is there a moment when you know that you will have achieved that goal? Particularly for yourself, Justin, where you don't necessarily have clarity on what it is. I don't know what the goal is, but I know how I want to feel, and I know what abstractly of what I want to create and at what moment I want to be by the end of the year in that journey. So let's create a memory around that. I've actually got a really great meditation in the which is a timeline technique. So it's a guided hypnosis audio that will take you through. So Justin, I can send this to you separately, where it will take you through how to create that memory and then essentially insert it into your future timeline. So you can create a memory essentially from your future. Because again, like vision boards, like all the things, having that connection to actually, when I do this, I'm going to feel really good. Not only is that really powerful in keeping you motivated and keeping you on track and reaffirming your boundaries, because with all of these things, there will be people like that will come and try and take you off track. That's life. There's never going to be any perfect like thing. And I think that that is the greatest skill that you can cultivate as an entrepreneur, is the bounce back ability, resourcefulness, the ability to keep things moving when nothing stays the same. You know, like I say, we can plan this out and it could be like, yeah, I'm going to do 200 words a day every day, and that's going to compound. The reality is nothing is the same. The only thing that's constant is change. So if you can still hold that vision and still keep yourself accountable and connect to it, it's going to keep you able to keep it moving in a way that I can't even remember what I was going with that, but essentially like in the most your boundaries, sorry, that's what I was talking about. It's going to mean that when things come up, you can say yes to the things that are going to move you to your goals, really firm in your position that no, because I've got this vision and I don't want to let my future self down, and actually that feels really exciting to know that that is coming. It's much easier to then assert your boundaries and say no, I'm not going to do that thing. When you don't have a reason why, it can be harder to reaffirm those boundaries when it's like, well, actually, I haven't really got anything else going on. Like, actually, yeah, I guess I could do. That's when you get those boundary creeps. Kids are a great way at reaffirming your boundaries. Like the amount of things I get my get out of jail free card. I'm sorry, I got 5 kids. I'd love to, but I can't do it. And that's what I used to do. I used to hide behind my kids. Now I'm like, it's just a no because it's a no. Like, and what, you know, like maybe not that confrontational, I'd have no friends, but you know, I've got that clear, like, no, because I really want to do this thing because it's going to feel amazing when I do it. So have that vision. Like, how are you going to know when you've actually done it? And then equally, how are you going to reward yourself? Like, let's make it fun once you've achieved it, because our brain likes to move away from pain, move towards pleasure. So the more that you can make that goal like fun, exciting, feel like it's easy, feel like it's possible. So a lot of the time we don't move towards a goal if we don't think that it's possible. Either it's too overwhelming, not exciting enough. Like you've got to get that, it's like Goldilocks, you've got to get that sweet spot in the middle where it feels like you could actually do the damn thing. Kind of exciting, like it's possible. It's exciting enough to take bold and radical action, i.e. get out of your everyday like routines. And you're going to get something really great at the end of it. Like that's the dream team. When you can align all of those things, like your success is inevitable. There's not one point of resistance, not your mindset, not the universe, like not your boundaries, like literally everything is working for you. Your success is inevitable, essentially. So bearing all of that in mind, like getting into the specifics, like what do you actually want to launch and what time and space do you need to do it? So looking physically now at your diary, what have you got coming up over the next 90 days that you want to either relaunch or launch? Like maybe new services, new products, maybe you want to add in a few things to your offer suite. Maybe you've identified some opportunities where you have perhaps reached capacity of what you can physically do, but you know that you're ready for more. So maybe there's an opportunity there to add in some passive income, or maybe you feel like you're pretty good with everything and you know what you're doing, but so maybe now that's an opportunity to venture out into other things, add different revenue streams even. In which case, if you are planning to launch something, what are the key dates, events and milestones that you need to be mindful of over that 90 days? So one thing that I've done for my sales plan is I've got, obviously all of my products are on Evergreen, which is great for me and my energy type. But obviously in terms of sales and marketing, like I still have to have something every month that's going to continually be driving traffic to those offers. So it's not like I'm just going to sit here in my pants, everybody's just going to come to me because I'm so magnetic. It's like I also actually have to get out there, make sure that I'm still being visible. So every week just a side note, I think the women know this, but for you, Jade, I always start the week with 3 boxes. One is, what am I going to do to grow my audience and my business this week? What am I going to do to nurture and serve my current clients and audience? And then the last one is, what am I going to do to leverage all of that to give me even better results? So it could be leveraging client testimonials, referrals, successes, wins. If you've done a guest expert session with somebody, how do I now, the women were laughing at me, but because I've just got these funny like sayings, but I was literally like, how do I now ride that pony all the way home? Like even LA, like you're going to see me for quite some time in LA, because I'm leveraging what I've already done. Like if you've already put money in, you know, skin in the game, if you've already put time in something, energy in something, like this is how we like leverage the shizzle out of it. So I always have those 3 boxes every week. And if you get into the habit of always having activities in your diary, something that's going to grow your audience and your reach, something that's going to like nurture and serve your current clients, because the revenue's in the reviews, right? I always say when people come to me and say, I want more clients, I'm like Gandhi, go home and love your clients, like the ones that you've already got. Because if you give them a great experience, like that is, you know, they're going to talk about you in a really positive way. But also, you know, there might be opportunities for you to continue the relationship with clients that you've already got. It's not always about newness, which can be a temptation with a manifesting generator, where it's like you're always looking for the next thing. I've got clients that have been with me through multiple programs for like the last 3 years. And as I've evolved, they've evolved with me. And it's like, they're almost like, what's next? And I'm like, okay, we'll do a mastermind. Like, because I've got that mindset, like that awareness that I need to grow, I need to serve, and I need to leverage, because I'm not about working harder. Social media doesn't obviously encourage you to do that, but that's just my kind of thing. So what are your key dates, events and milestones? So like I said, in my schedule, I've got every month, I've got like a masterclass, because that feels really good. That's me and my authority. That's me talking about subjects that I feel really good, but also that's content that I can then add to my mastermind. I can add to my academy. Like I would be doing it anyway. So I might as well leverage something that I'm going to be doing always. So, and I'm quite good at that. Obviously, that's my superpower, is leverage. That's what I'm known as, because I don't have a lot of time. So it's like, if I'm doing a podcast episode, I record it and add it to my YouTube. I stream it into my free Facebook group. So it's like I'm getting so many bites of the same cherry. Yeah, does that make sense? Yeah. And then equally, if I'm recording new content, maybe while I'm in that train of thought and I'm inspired, I'm going to be creating a podcast episode. Maybe that's a chapter for my book. Maybe that's a work. Like I'm just always thinking, like, if I'm going to do this one thing, whatever it is, how do I get more opportunities to leverage that? So again, I've got the retreat in June for the women in the mastermind. So I'm going to invite other women, you know, open that up to other people and do that as 2 separate one-day events. So I'm leveraging stuff that I've already got, but then I'm going to need to market that. So obviously then when I'm thinking about the next 90 days, then we need to align this with our marketing activity as well. So for me, like I said, I've got the key milestones, which is the retreat in June. Ideally, you know, even if I only have my mastermind clients, that's amazing. But if there's an opportunity to bring other women into that opportunity, obviously I'm going to, but I need to reverse engineer that and make sure that I'm mentioning it at the right times. I'm marketing it at the right times, not too far out where people forget, but also not too last minute where people don't have time to plan. So you will know your audience better on how quickly they are in, you know, in terms of buying decisions, but it's just being very strategic. So even like my content, even if you've seen LA, my reels that I've created for that, the content that's coming through, like the hooks, are still continually leading back to the mastermind. Even though I wasn't there for my mastermind, it's still because I have a belief and values in community. You know, if I didn't believe that, I wouldn't have created the mastermind for in the first place, but I wouldn't have been in a place with women. So it's me being in integrity and showing my values, but equally I've been intentional with the content I'm creating. It's not just, hey, look at me having a hot girl summer moment. Isn't it great? Don't you want to be me? Like, isn't this just so fab? Don't I look great? This is actually like, there's always content around it where it's like, you know, it's so refreshing to be in community. I never had this before, but it's so powerful. Here's why. And maybe you might want to join the mastermind because that's why I've created it. So it's being conscious of your content that you're creating and the interactions that you're having over the next 90 days, that all roads always lead back to your offers, because selling is serving. So there's nothing shady about this. But yeah, I see so many women missing out on opportunities to promote, to sell, to build their brand as a brand, because they aren't intentional enough with what they're doing. And they are instead like, oh yeah, I was a guest expert in somebody else's group. And it's like, okay, so how did you leverage that? Well, I didn't. I just showed up with value, and hopefully like karma will reward me. And I'm like, there's an element of that, but also, you know, don't never leave money on the table, never miss an opportunity to connect it back and leverage. So if you've got those key dates and milestones, that will help you to then break down the activities that need to happen on a weekly basis. So I'm always about reverse engineering. And if you don't have activities in your diary every month, something significant that you're doing every month to grow your business, whether it be a live launch, whether it be a masterclass, whether it be guest expert sessions, like you're really missing out. Whether it's an event or a networking event, you're really missing an opportunity to be a leader within your industry. And I think that's what we all need to strive for, is to, and as much as we think, oh, the market's saturated and everybody else is, you know, there's a lot of people doing what I'm doing, no one else is you. No one has the same connection, no one has the same passion, because they don't have your journey. Nobody else is going to do it in the way that you do it, with the depth that you do it, like with the conversations and the terms like I use, that I do it. So really own what you bring to the table, and the responsibility almost to be that leader within the collective. So if you aren't hosting and creating these containers, you're really missing out. So even if it's just in your content, maybe you could host virtual online networking events, planning sessions like this. I love to get women together. I'm always great if you need a birthday party, like a baby shower. Like I'm that girl. Everybody said, like, I always want to come to your house. Like you do all of the celebrations, like Halloween and Valentine's and all the things. I'm like, yeah, because I just love to create these containers, these vortexes for people to come together and have a really great time. So yeah, are there any additional services that you want to add in mind of what we've been talking about, making sure you're not leaving money on the table? It's not about overwhelming, it's about what naturally sits within your current offer suite, so that you can leverage your time, energy and visibility. So for me, when clients work with me, a lot of people wait to scale and add in passive income. I do it right out the gate. Because for me, my intention, whenever even a startup, it's always with the intention that you're scaling yourself out of your business, right? Nobody wants to, as much as I'm all about longevity of business, nobody wants to be in the doing forever. That's exhausting. So it's always like identifying those opportunities to leverage yourself and things that you've created. Like maybe that could be packaged up as a self-study. Maybe there could be an opportunity for a smaller container if you've already got things in. But also, what was I just about to say? I lost my train of thought there. Totally lost. Oh yeah, but also, sorry, we never want to leave people without a downsell. So we never want to, if somebody's coming, if you're doing all this great work and you're getting all of this authority, credibility, like you're having sales calls, even if they don't convert, you never want to leave money on the table and leave people without an opportunity to work with you. Even if they can't afford you right now, there's always got to be a fallback offer. That's just good business, because if somebody likes you enough and they've built up enough goodwill and trust with you to even get on a call or to jump in your DMs, they're interested in what it is that you've got, but perhaps it's not the right offer, or it's not the right time, or it's not the right price point. So what else can we do and bring to the table to make sure that we're not then just like, bye, sorry. Like we don't want to do that. We want to be like, maybe not this, maybe that. Even if it's just getting them onto your mailing list if they're really not ready, just making sure that you've always got a next step for anybody that does put their hands up. Is there anything now, in light of your human design, that you want to add or remove from your business suite? If you're like, actually, I'm doing these things, I don't want to do that for another 9 months. That actually doesn't feel good. Maybe it's too long. Maybe it's like, that's going to box me in if I do that. So one thing recently, I'm sure Ella won't mind us sharing, is at the beginning of her journey, she'd taken on a lot of one-to-one clients that had these really long like commitments. And obviously, as she has then expanded and grown, and we've built the academy for her, it was like, I don't like, this is almost like a drain on my business now, because I'm still having to fulfill the commitments that I made at the beginning stages when I didn't know any different. But actually, like, what can I do with them? Because it doesn't make sense. Like, I'm ready for more. I'm ready to like charge more money. I'm ready to work with a more discerning client. So this is where we created an academy, so that we almost had an alternative to place them where it was a win-win for both parties, because they were still going to get access to her, but also they were going to get these additional resources. But rather than being in a one-to-one setting, they were now in a group. So we were able to make it a win-win for both, but essentially like positively transition them onto a more sustainable and scalable business model, so that she could then be free to go off and do the other things that she wanted to do. So is there something that needs to come out, something that needs to be tweaked, like anything? We can talk about it in the hot seat in a sec if there's anything you want to discuss. Obviously, what actions do you need to take off the back of that? Because it's all about getting specific with that. Maybe you might need to brainstorm that later. My intention for this is to kind of activate you as well as anything else. Maybe something else when you're on the school run or on a walk later will come to you. Now that I've asked these questions, it's very intentional while I phrase them as questions. It's because it will start to activate your reticular activating system in your brain. Your brain will want an answer to these questions. It will be running it over on autopilot in the back end systems without you even consciously being aware of it over the next few hours. So something might come to you later. Again, do you need to create more space to execute on those tasks? Yes, we always need more space. So perhaps, like I said, that's an exercise in boundaries. That's an exercise in being really ruthless and intentional for the next 90 days with who gets your time and energy, and what things that you're saying yes to, the things that you're saying no to. Does everything that you've got now on that paper feel aligned to your bigger picture vision for this year still? What are your key activities? I think I kind of touched on this already, but every week we need to make a commitment, as I said, to growing our audience and attracting our ideal clients. Like, that is just good business. And it's amazing to me because I can see how it happens, particularly if you're heart-led. You get so bogged down in the delivery of what you're doing that you kind of forget that, oh, I need to keep this continual pipeline coming through of new people. And it can be really exhausting, but you need to have a minimum commitment of what you can do. That again feels really good. So one thing for me that I realized very early on when my time was so limited was collaborations is a great one for me. Obviously it keeps me in my natural energy type because I'm a chatty Cathy, I'm a big personality, high energy. People want me to come in their groups because I'm very motivating. I'm all about the quick wins, high value, but also that's me. Like maybe it's because I've got so many kids, but I crave adult conversation. Like, I'm happy to go and do these things. That doesn't feel like work. I come off and I'm buzzing, whether it's first thing in the morning or last thing at night. Like, I'll only ever really do evening sessions if it's things like that, like guest expert, because I know I'm going to my battery will be regenerated from that. So for me, it makes sense, particularly where I've now got a podcast, that every week I have a strategic collaboration. That's part of my growth. If I only do one thing, that will be it, because that gives me bigger bang for my buck as well, because it's in my zone of genius. It's what I would be doing anyway. I'm consistent with it because I'm a great connector of people, so I'm always meeting people, but also like, it doesn't even feel like work, you know. Like, it's just also, sorry, it's actually giving me more leveraged ideal clients, because just, you know, growing your Instagram and your social media following is amazing, but you've got no sense of who those people are. Hopefully they'll be attracted to your content because they're interested in it, but you also get people that are just following you because they're curious, because other, you know, people that want to see what you're doing. Not everybody is going to be an ideal client that comes and follows your page. When you decide to collaborate with somebody who is aligned to you and your values, and then you get the endorsement of that person to their audience that are probably maybe, and it's got to be complimentary. Obviously, we're not sharks that are going into other people's groups, and I've had that where people have come into mine with the intention of taking my clients, and I don't believe in that. But it's like, actually, so I worked with a friend who was a sales coach. I'm a money mindset coach. Like, it's the beautiful collaboration, because typically she can give them the strategy about how to make more money, but it won't be that why they're not making more money. It's because they're the mindset stuff. So I went in and did a guest expert session with them, and it was like a win-win for her because it's great value. It helps her clients to get the hell out of the way. And then also I had some upsells into my money mindset bootcamp. Like, so, but equally, because she shared it, the people have shared it, like, it's also given me more reach. So it's looking for those opportunities where it's thinking outside the box and doing what feels good anyway. That's what I'm all about with business. So what key activities are you going to commit to every week to grow your audience? So again, I think that could be like the type of content as well. As we said, like engaging video content, selling on your stories, looking for opportunities for affiliates, for referrals, recommendations, like being a smart business lady in that sense. Networking, masterminding, like being part of those communities where people can actually come and get you business. What are your key activities to nurture your current audience? So what is your non-negotiable? Like, do you have a mailing list that goes out? What kind of free content are you delivering? I'm a manifesting generator, so I've got a podcast, I've got YouTube, I'm on every single platform, including a new one called Clapper. Has anybody heard that? It's like TikTok. Apparently TikTok, there's a potential that it may be banned in the States. So I don't know what's going on with that. My friend's social media manager tells me these things. She's like, you need to get over onto Clapper, because there's like incredible, like, can you imagine anything worse? Who the hell named that? It's awful. But that's a new platform. So I'm always looking for like new opportunities to get in while the timing is good. What else have I got? I've got a blog, I'm writing my book. Like, these are all things that are going to nurture my current audience. Pinterest, like, you don't have to do all of these things, but it's just, again, whatever feels good. And obviously I'm all about leveraging your results in what are your key activities each week to make sure that you're leveraging your results and success today. This can be like repurposing testimonials. So it could be getting your clients on a live to do an IGTV together. It could be like the standard graphic, but how do we think outside the box? Maybe it's doing a case study breakdown where it's like, this client came to me with this problem. This is what I did to help them, so that people can take value from that post. This is what you could then do. And essentially also positions you as that authority and expert as well. But also, like, being intentional with, if you're in the mastermind, I'll always ask you guys, like, particularly when you've got evergreen products, like, what are your wins this week? Like, your wins are my wins, essentially, and that's what gives me the greatest satisfaction. So the more that I can, and where are your challenges? Like, what can I help you with right now? If I can then help you to a win, I'm obviously going to leverage that, because that helps me to bring in women that are ready to take action and want results, that are then going to support and complement the collective energy of you guys. We don't want people here that just don't want to do anything. Like, that's not going to add anything for you guys. So what key activities can you do each week to leverage your results and success today? What are your key sales activities that you're going to commit to mastering in this quarter? So as I mentioned earlier on the human design stuff, if it's like DMs, if it's stories, polls, networking, like, what are the things that, even if it feels a bit awkward now, you're going to commit to mastering because actually that makes sense for you in this quarter? So Lisa, it could be visibility for you. Like, I know you don't like being on your socials, but that would be a really great activity that is really going to make a difference in your business, is if you commit to mastering sales on your socials. You know, being more intentional with that content, that's going to be a game changer.
I've just made a little video clip, actually, so I should get that out.
Amazing. And then obviously ensuring that your content planning is in alignment with what it is that you've got coming up. Always being intentional, like I said, with the stuff from LA, it's always going to circle back, always lead back to the offer. Like, that's ultimately what we're here to do, and we can't lose focus of that. So in addition, obviously, again, you don't have to do it now, but what I would love to always ask you guys to reflect on is, like, your personal growth goals. Like, how are you going to grow over the next 90 days? It isn't always just about business. It's why we've got Gemma in the mastermind, who's a women's health expert, because success in one area of life is not success. I've had that, where I've got all the money in the world, but really fucking miserable and really burnt out and really tired and really fed up and you know, like, you've got to have balance. So, like, what are your personal goals? What are your health goals? What are your finance goals? You know, again, this isn't about making more money. It's about, how can I work smart with the money that I've got coming in, so that, again, I leverage that and it starts working for me. So maybe it's actually, over the next 90 days, I'm going to commit to growing an investment portfolio. I'm going to look at serviced accommodation strategies to grow my wealth. I'm going to look at joint ventures or partnerships or investments, or I'm going to get a tax accountant. Like, what is that? We've got to keep sight of the financial goals. I don't want you to continually be in the mode of chasing the next month's sales. And then finally, like, who do you need to be and show up as in order to achieve all of those goals? So for me, change happens at an identity level. It's taken one version of you to get you to this point, one version of you at the beginning of the year to say, I am worthy of more and I'm going to go and get it. It's amazing. We've now got a little bit of practice, a little bit of experience, a few learnings, like we know what we like, what we don't like. So now it's our opportunity to recalibrate. And who do we now need to be going into the next 3 months or 90 days to actually achieve what it is that we need to do? Is it, I need to be more like divisive, I need to be ruthless, I need to be intentional, I need to give myself more space, like the kind of woman who says hell yes, takes quick action. Like, what is that identity of that person? Because the more that you can start to align with that version of yourself, the more you're going to get it done, the more you're just going to embody that next level self. So like I said in LA, it was very evident to me, the women that had done that embodiment work and the women that hadn't, that were still second guessing themselves, that were still walking around the room like, do you know, like, what do you think about this, what do you think about that? And it's like, because they're just not there, they're not embodying that next level self, they're still waiting for everybody else to tell them. And then finally, like, what is your intention? Like, what are the quick actions, quick wins that you can take right now following this call, or intentions that you are absolutely claiming, affirming, and it's happening following this call? Like, what is it for you? Because I'm all about the quick wins as well. That really helps us to move forwards. And then that's kind of it. So hopefully that has given you so much to think about, and then you can go away and kind of assemble that into some sort of loose plan for the next 90 days. I like to do it by 4-week cycles. Again, everything's cyclical. So the first month for me is always building, like really focusing on growing, maybe marketing. The next 2 weeks are, because equally we've got to work with our own energy types. You cannot be on for the next 90 days in a row. It's not going to happen. So you know, Gemma will tell you to plan around your menstrual cycle, because we've got the phases there where there's times where you do need to go all in and you will feel inspired and you will be ready to do all the things, and there'll be other times where actually you need to retreat, rest, reflect, and that's fine. But let's not try and be naive to that. Let's not think that during the Easter half term our output is going to be the same as it is right now when my kids are at school. You know, it's not going to be the same. So I'm looking at that with a very sensible approach. So I'm not setting myself up for failure. Like, realistically, over the next 4 weeks, these are my 2 like go weeks. These are the ones where I'm going to have to figure a few things out, but you can map your activity in accordingly. So does anybody want to like pop on and share anything, or any of their intentions or aha moments, anything? Charisse, my sister says I'm good at everything. She hates me for it. I'm just going to stop the live stream. So
Thank you for listening to this episode. It's been amazing to share this time with you, and I feel honoured to be part of your journey. If you've loved what you've heard, had an aha moment, or found value in this episode, then please do like, comment and share. I would love to connect with you on Instagram and Facebook, so come and find me, and I look forward to helping you build your epic life.